Today we have part 2 of the story with the headline, War's Bravest Deeds, Recollections of Episodes of Heroism by Land and Sea. The subheadline says, Stirring Contributions from Colonel N.T. Willis, Major Alfred R. Calhoun, Captain George P. Singer, Edward Dawn. Today's installment is told by Captain George P. Singer. It says, There are different qualities of physical courage, just as there are of cloth. There are men, and I have seen them, who in company would rush with a shout upon a battery, but who, if alone, would be incapable of anything like reckless daring. Lieutenant Kupp, of the 88th Pennsylvania Volunteers, was a tall, lank, slab-sided young man, who spoke but little, and that little with a drawl, and who in appearance and manner was far from being an ideal soldier. He had a fair reputation in his regiment, in which there were a great many Pennsylvania Dutch, from Reading and Bucks counties. He saw Kupp in Libby Prison in the early part of 1864. He, with a large number of his regiment, had been captured at Gettysburg, I believe. In 8 months in prison had reduced his uniform to rags. At this time, the Richmond authorities permitted the friends of prisoners in the North to send through, under flag of truce, boxes containing food and clothing, providing the clothing was such as is worn by citizens. Kupp was fortunate in getting a box, and in the box there was a suit of brown clothes, the cloth of which looked as if it were made at home. There was no doubt that the tailoring was done there. Dressed in this butternut costume, the lieutenant bore a striking resemblance to one of those North Carolinians so familiar to all at the front. Indeed, his friends in the Upper East Room called him a Tar Heel and made frequent inquiries about the latest news from North Killenly, which he bore with characteristic good nature, if not actual indifference. But all the time, Kupp was doing a powerful sight of private thinking, and more than once, he aroused his friends by saying that he had serious notions of escaping, at which they laughed. Every morning at daylight, a little clerk named Ross, with a sergeant and guard, came in to count the prisoners. The process was known as roll call. Sometimes Confederate soldiers on leave in Richmond, and even private citizens came in with the guard to see the caged Yankees. One dull morning in early February, the guards were going down the steps leading to the office of Turner, the commandant, on the ground floor in the west end of the building, when to the unspeakable amazement of all who saw the act, Kupp fell in behind them. The guards passed directly through Major Turner's quarters and out to the street, but here Kupp hung back. After a few minutes, the commandant entered, and supposing him to be a Confederate private, he shouted out, "Hello, what the devil do you want?" "Well," drawled Kupp, "I got a furlough to come to Richmond, so I thought I'd like to drop in and take a look at the Yanks if so be you don't mind." "But I do mind. Get out of here, confound you, and go to the front, where you'll see Yankees enough to scare you to death," and Turner motioned his guest to the door. Kupp said, "All right, Colonel," and left the prison by order of his keeper. An ordinary man would have made tracks as soon as he got out, but not so Kupp. The man had no nerves, no fitting sense of the danger of his situation. He crossed to the other side of Carey Street, and stood looking up at the bars behind which swarmed his astonished friends. At length, he lifts his hat and made a bow that set even the guards a-laughing. He deserved to get through, and he did. Up to this time, Kupp's escape ranks first in my memory of all the acts of cool daring witnessed during the war. This installment was written by George P. Singer. This story comes from the great state of Wisconsin, being reported in the newspaper library of March 31st, 1894. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.